So I call this one the without lifesteal version, and I've heard from a few Psykeepers who've done it without lifesteal. But man, we just do it so much better. Like, look at this dagger from within curse here. Because of the critical damage reduction from Lightning Storm, and the fact that Lightning Storm's debuff duration is the same as the cooldown, this curse actively makes Elementors tankier than we would be without it. So make sure you're always taking this even if you don't need the EXP anymore. Sais can only dream of such interesting debuffs. Which class was supposed to be the debuffer again? Anyway, welcome to this very balanced class that can tank this dungeon full int and without lifesteal. I say that, but if I'm being honest, it's probably not the best build for this. I just didn't feel like buying a reset, and doing it was kind of a fun challenge. Getting into this first pull here, we don't have lifesteal, which would make us tankier the more we pull, so we're gonna have to play particularly well to survive. This means making sure Sandstorm and Lightning Storm are always on cooldown, positioning the RM to stun as many mobs as possible with Merc, and not getting greedy with pull sizes. Still struggle with that last one. That being said, I'm gonna limit myself to around 25 mobs here, and probably less as we go deeper in. I think tankier builds might be able to get away without this, but I'm gonna use Earthquake as my primary skill here, at least until my current target is dead. This is to take advantage of Earthquake's 20% attack debuff, which, combined with the defense you already have, will actually reduce your damage taken by around 17% for both blocked and unblocked hits. So, with the hit rate reduction from Sandstorm, critical damage reduction from Lightning Storm, and Merkaba stuns, the incoming damage becomes very manageable. Make sure you position yourself in such a way that all the mobs can collapse on you within the barrier of life window, so your arm can merc as soon as possible. To set up all of that, I like to do the following rotation. First, you get a barrier from your RM so you can have all the mobs hit you all at once. Then you can drop Sandstorm first before barrier expires. Follow with Blizzard to extend your window of safety another 3 seconds, and use that time to Lightning Storm and have your RM merc. Finally, you can Electric Shock so the mobs take 20% more magic damage, and either spam Earthquake if you need to survive, or Electric Shock if you just want more damage. If you're watching this guide, I'm going to assume you intend to run Envy more than a couple of times, but I always recommend experimenting with not earthquaking every once in a while, especially anytime you made any major changes to your gear or playstyle. From there, it just becomes cooldown juggling and using your filler when everything is on CD. If you're earthquaking, note that Electric Shock and Merkaba have similar cooldowns, so try to use them together and use Lightning Storm and Sandstorm back to back as well, of course. Alright, we're done with the sharks here, and ideally your mob counter reads exactly 72 out of 200, but if it doesn't, it's best not to worry about it and move on. 1v1ing any isolated stragglers isn't really the best use of your time or consumables. But hey, maybe that's the shark that'll drop a box. Just saying. Moving into the mermaids here, they have relatively low DPS as a group, so it's pretty safe to pull 30 or more, but they'll take their sweet time running towards you by spamming red circles which apply Mind Shatter. It's a big damage debuff, and unfortunately, there's not much you can do about it at the start of the AoE. Once all the mermaids are stacked, debuffed, and stunned, your RM should cover it off you frequently. I'll also point out here you can actually hit and run these basically forever. The red circles they cast reset their run timers, so they'll never stop chasing you whenever you're hitting them. Though the difficulty of this method is that they'll probably never group up properly, so it's probably less DPS than just sitting there with Mind Shatter on you, but anything's worth a shot depending on how long you expect to do Envy runs. As tempting as it is to do mermaids in 2 pools, I find they are particularly prone to resetting whenever you let them out of your sight, so I prefer to do these in 3 pools, with the 3rd pool having some cunning merman mixed in. Cunning Merman, and Lurking Merman as well for that matter, grant a non-stacking buff called Pack Tactics to mobs with the same name when they die. Combined with a Drown Ring to Curse, it means once you kill your first merman, the other mermen have 75% more attack, which goes down to 55% with Earthquake. Actual damage-wise, this means they'll increase their unblocked damage by around 2500 if you're using the Lipine set. You're using that set, right? Anyway, if you want to minimize the number of random wipes to this buff, you'll want to try and pull groups of mixed mobs like 10 Cunning Mermen and 10 Lurking Mermen, since the buff only empowers mobs with the same name. Not always possible, but also you're probably only going to need like 3 pulls to clear all the Cunning Mermen anyway. After that, how you finish the rest of the dungeon is up to you. I like to stick to this right wall to reach the teleporter in case I wipe. If you're confident that that won't happen, you could explore some left side pathing I'm not going to show here, but note that the left side does start you off with some densely packed Lurking Mermen, so make sure to mix some of those with giant turtles to minimize the effect of pack tactics. The giant turtles don't have anything special going for them against magic classes, so you should be able to roll through the rest of the dungeon just fine. The turtles hit the hardest out of anything else in here, so I keep AoE sizes around 20 and usually less. Anyway, that should cover everything. I'm gonna let the rest of the video run so you can watch how I path, but otherwise, good luck with the boxes. Yippee! Special ending section. So, the pathing I showed in this video isn't actually all that good. Cause, okay, so I know this because I recorded everything like 2 weeks ago, and I realized, well, an Elementor with no lifesteal is actually kind of a unique situation. Everyone else doing this would be running a tankier build, and therefore could follow the pathing used in the Psykeeper video, which, if you do the comparison, you'll notice that runs a lot faster, even though the Psykeeper uses no prems. And the Ellie here used a bunch of them. I mean, I'm not saying like Elementor is bad. This is clearly a build issue, not a class issue. But like, any tanky build shouldn't be using this pathing, and anyone doing Envy should definitely be running a tankier build, so